Yeah, well, good morning, Ayanda, and good morning to the viewers. And I just want to put the Institute of Risk Management into context. So we are the professional body for risk managers in South Africa, and we assist and we help individuals and corporate members to really navigate the uncertainties that we face, so that they can make good decisions to respond to, to the uncertain future we face. And if those events occurred, what effect would they have on our objectives? So when we hosted this webinar with the esteemed guests that you mentioned, we were really not looking at this as a binary thing. It's not either Christmas or the economy. In truth is we have to respond to, and we have to manage both. And one of the big things that really came out is we really need to change our behavior as individuals. Um, and sorry, my screen has just gone off. I hope that you're still there.
You're still
Yeah.
with us quite
Um,
clearly. Go ahead.
so we as individuals have to change our behavior so that we become part of the solution and not part of the problem. And that's really what the webinar was about. As organizations, there were basically 6 main points to come out of this webinar. The first thing is that we may be over, the coronavirus as a society. We're tired of it, but the virus isn't over us. So we are now in this second wave, and we can't be complacent. We need to make sure that our business continuity plans are working, that we don't become complacent in those. We now need to use the hindsight that we have from the first wave to be able to give us insight into what we are facing now in the second wave, that will then give us foresight for how to deal for the weeks and months ahead.
Yeah.
Because our number one objective is to prevent a further hard lockdown.
Yeah, if I can come in there, Walter. I mean, on that point, is that an intervention we start now or an intervention that sort of started way earlier on? This idea of learning from the experiences we had in the first wave so that we're not caught napping during what now appears clearly to be a second wave of this pandemic. My understanding is that surely those interventions should have already been contemplated as we reach the tail end of the first wave, so to speak.
Yes. So certainly the risk management profession is all about looking at what has happened in the past, what is happening now, and in order that we can plan for the uncertainties we face in the future. So a lot of the work happened. Really good risk managers were actually planning for the potential of a pandemic long before March this year when it actually happened. So they developed in their businesses business continuity plans, so that if an interruption came into the business, they would be able to remain resilient, respond to the risks that they're facing, and just really keep the system going. So that hasn't stopped. And there hasn't been a pause for risk management professionals. We've always had in the back of our mind, and we've been tracking the numbers and the infection rates closely, to say, well, elsewhere in the world there's a second wave, so we are likely to have a second wave here. What will that look like, and how best can we make sure that we do the necessary things to prevent the rate of infection, but also responding to the interruptions we face in our lives and in our businesses. So risk management is not a once-off set and forget. It's an ongoing process. It's an iterative process. We make mistakes, we learn from the mistakes, we try and do better, because ultimately the risk management profession exists to enable business leaders to make good risk-informed decisions regarding their operations and their strategies.
Yeah.
So we really always have to be on the go, and the Institute of Risk Management has been on the go the whole time through this COVID-19 period.
Yeah, and I'm interested to learn how something as complex as the COVID-19 virus actually affects the kind of forecasts you're able to make, the kind of advice you're able to give out, especially because one of the latest things we're learning, for instance, in the UK, is that, very different strands of the virus appear to be mushrooming, and in fact, some of them are way more infectious, perhaps not as deadly, but way more infectious than other strands. That's just one aspect in which COVID-19 really can throw a spanner into the works. How does that impact what you're able to say definitively to companies about how they should prepare for something like this pandemic and safeguard themselves for a future that nobody actually really knows?
Yeah. Well, the thing is about risk managers is we're not fortune tellers. We can't foresee the future, but we look at indicators that could predict the likely outcome of events. As risk managers, there's only two things we can manage. We can manage causes and we can manage effects. Now, the cause is the COVID-19 virus. The effect is what it's having on our business. So we can only proactively respond to the effects that let's say a lockdown or an increased infection rate can have on our business. And we do this not through having a single view or a single model. We actually develop a number of scenarios of what could be. And those scenarios are normally built on two areas of uncertainty that we have, and we develop a number of scenarios, and then as the facts emerge, we can see which scenario we are playing to. So in dealing with something like a pandemic, it's really a war gaming exercise. If we do this, will it work? Yes, it is working. And that is where even hindsight of what happened last week is helping us to inform what should happen next week through the discussions we have now, through the insights we're gaining from it. So we are continually looking at the facts as they emerge and comparing them against the scenarios to see which are the likely scenarios that are playing out. How do we need to adjust our responses, and how do we need to respond in areas where we haven't yet perhaps responded? So it's an ongoing thinking exercise in which we guide the executives and people in government through as an institute, actually, advising them and painting scenarios and calling things as we see them to enable them to prepare better and to respond better. And really, because we all have the same goal at the end of the day. We want to prevent unnecessary loss of lives. We want to ensure we don't go into a second lockdown, and because we want our economy to thrive. And in order to do that, we as individuals, as risk managers, as organizations, young and old, need to behave in a responsible way. We need to listen to the guidance we had from our president the other day, and we just really need to take ownership of this thing and do the best that we can to respond in a responsible way. We all inconvenience. Christmas will look different this year to what it looked last year. Easter looked different this year to what it looked last year. But we just want to say that we're doing it for the greater good. It's not the fact that I might be okay, COVID won't affect me, but it might affect an older person. It might affect someone who's got a business to run. So yes.
Absolutely. Walter, in about 30 seconds or so, before I let you go, to what extent does the risk management process take into consideration elusive concepts like public buy-in, or I guess in the case of companies, buy-in from employees? Because certainly that has to be central to, I guess, being accurate in what you're forecasting.
Yes. So in less than 30 seconds, in organizations, we have to have the top leadership team has to set the tone for the risk management program. The work of risk management is done at the top, in the middle, and at the bottom of the organization. All employees in an organization have a responsibility in risk management, and all that we do as risk professionals is we try and pull together and integrate all of this so that it enables good decision making. Risk management at the end of the day is about enabling good decision making.
Absolutely. Well, thanks very much for sharing your insights with us. Certainly a lot to mull over as we head on over to Christmas and many other related events. Appreciate your time on the AM Report. Walter Ehrlich is a committee member of the Institute of Risk Management South Africa. Appreciate your insights indeed.